Hi, my name is Selena. Welcome back to my channel.
And I think you mean my channel. Hi, I'm Mason. I use he, him pronouns. And now it's time for my February wrap-up.
And March.
And March, because somebody kind of got off his game and only read 3 books in March.
So we're going to go in the order that you read them, right?
Whatever you do.
Mostly the order of which you read them. So start with your first one.
The first book I read in February is Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. There's not a whole lot of detail I can give you about the premise of this book, just because it's oddly conceived, but that's in the manner of Stephen King. But basically it's some sort of like parasite alien invasion, and the characters dealing with the fallout of that. I thought it was really good. It was really neat, very Stephen King. It was kind of a little bit like It vibes, like not the same plot, but in terms of having characters' perspectives both from when they're kids and their adult, like the present as they're adults. But yeah, it was all over the place, but in a good way. So anyways, I gave Dreamcatcher 5 stars. It was excellent. My next book that I read in February was Tau Zero by, is that Powell Anderson? I don't really know how to pronounce.
I would say Powell.
Yeah, well, a guy. So it's, the premise is that some people are on a space mission, and their rocket or shuttle or spaceship or whatever you want to call it breaks in a certain way. So they are unable to brake. Like they can't slow down. So they have to keep going, speeding up actually, closer and closer to the speed of light, which I'm not sure how many of you are informed on Einstein's theories of relativity, but basically it just means that the people in the ship are going to be aging much slower than people outside of it because of that speed. So they are basically traveling through the end of the world as light years pass. Yeah, so the thing is, it sounds like this should be a book for me, which is why I asked for it for, I think it was Christmas. Because I love weird spacey stuff, love weird physics stuff. It was actually mentioned in a nonfiction book I was reading about physics. So I got it, I opened it, and I was disappointed. It didn't really focus on the physics, either in a like layman's way or a specific to the field way. It just kind of glossed over it. Like, yeah, I understand the theory, but it really wasn't applied well. It was less plot driven, more character driven, which I don't have a problem with usually. In fact, sometimes I'd prefer that. But the characters were so flat, and just, yeah, the relationships were bad. They were just bad people, and not in the good way. I gave that 2.25 stars.
Yikes.
Yeah, I believe that was my worst read of these 2 months. Maybe of the year. I can't remember for sure. Anyway. The next book I read was The Bachelors, Valet by Arden Powell. So it's about this guy who's basically, I don't know if they were trust fund babies in the 1920s.
I'm sure there were.
No, I don't know if that's what they were called in the 1920s, but that's what he was. He was living off of his parents' income, but the one stipulation was that if he wanted to continue doing that, he had to get married, which he didn't want to do because he didn't want to give up his bachelor lifestyle. However, this man's an idiot. Because the entire book, the reader knows, like we know, and everybody else knows that he's in love with his valet, which is basically like
his
a man
valet.
Yeah, like a manservant type thing. And he just spends, like, it's a short book, but he's spending like all of these 200 some pages trying to figure out that he's in love with a man that he wants to be around all the time and says that he'd rather live with than a wife. Like, okay. Yeah, whatever. That's a true no homo there, but it does become homo. No, I mean, like, as you could expect, it's romance. I liked it. It was very cute. I'm a sucker for a himbo. And
it's also magical, right? Like, it's not just historical fantasy.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Just because it is technically a fantastical thing, but it factors in so little. It could actually, like, you could take the magic out and adjust, like, tweak a few things and it would still be the exact same plot. So if you're looking for something that goes deeply into a magic system, this is not for you. And it was a short book, so there wasn't enough time really to explore the relationship. It was more of an overview. That would be my main criticism of it, I guess. But I liked it.
And you gave it 4 stars, right?
Yes, 4 stars.
4 stars. Oh no. Not this.
Okay, so the next book I read, Selena does not like that I read it or that it exists, probably. It's Petals in the Wind by V.C. Andrews. It's the sequel to Flowers in the Attic, which you can look in the last video that I did of a wrap-up. I read
I'll link it.
in January.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's
and by the way, this book, he's been reading these books with the Audrina along on my Discord. So if you're interested in reading V.C. Andrews, I think in June they're going to be starting a new series. So
yes,
check it out. Go join my Discord and read some of the weirdest, most disturbing, crazy wildness you've ever read in your life.
Yeah, and speaking of crazy wildness, it's here. So there's not really a way to describe this book without spoiling Flowers in the Attic, because that's how sequels work most of the time. So what you need to know, though, is every 10 pages, something is going to hit you over the hammer until you pass out and start seeing stars or whatever. Like, you're like, hold on the entire time. Like, it goes from 0 to 60, then back to 0, then to 1,000.
With the drama, right?
Yeah, oh god, yeah. And there's just so much happening all at once. But I loved it. Look, I love...
Yeah, you gave it 4.5, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I love a good mess. Like, I love books that, even if they're bad books, which I don't even think this is a bad book. I think it just gets unfair reputation.
It just is special.
Yeah. But if you're gonna have some weird stuff in there, I'm gonna read it. Anyway.
Yep. Literally, I will recommend the weirder books that I'm like, don't appeal to me. I'm like, Mason, this will be good for
exactly.
You.
Anyway, it was fun, fast-paced. I'm a big fan of the series. That's really all I have to say about that one for now.
It's one of his favorite books of the year.
It is one of them.
And then the next thing you read was a nonfiction, right?
Yeah, it was a memoir called How Y'all Doin' by Leslie Jordan. So for those of you who don't know who Leslie Jordan is, he is this adorable, older, southern gay gentleman, and his voice...
Wasn't he an actor?
Yes, he's an actor.
What was he in, though?
I mean, I don't watch a lot of stuff with him in it. The one I know him from is Will and Grace. He plays... Is his name just Leslie? No, I don't remember his name in the show, but he plays a character in Will and Grace. It's pretty funny.
Oh.
But anyway, he's also an Instagram presence now. I'm not even kidding. That's what the book talks about it. He has an Instagram presence because of the pandemic. He made all these short videos. But anyway, so I said he was an older southern gay gentleman, and his voice sounds exactly like what you would expect from that. So therefore I read it as an audiobook, because he was narrating it himself, and it's just cute. It was just little, one shots of time, like different periods of his life and different events, meeting famous people. It was cute. It was short, so then there wasn't a lot to go. There's not a lot to go into here. I mean, but if you don't even have to be a fan of Leslie Jordan or to know who he is to enjoy this book, because he just tickles you. Anyway.
Did you rate it?
I didn't rate this one just because I'm like, this is a personal memoir. Like, I feel like it doesn't need to be rated. The next book I read was Lost Boys by Orson Scott Card.
Nothing to do with Peter Pan. I was disappointed as well.
Well, we already have our Peter Pan retelling of choice. Anyway.
Peter Darling, right there.
So this book is your very classic slow-paced book. The first huge chunk of it, and I'm talking like 90% here, is detailing the family's life. They're in a Mormon area, and they're scared that, even though they're Mormon, they're scared that their son is getting indoctrinated by more intense Mormons. And alongside this, he's having a lot of depression and struggles in school, and they can't really figure out what's wrong with him. They send him to a therapist, but it doesn't seem to help. He's developing these imaginary friends, and his parents are concerned, to say the least. There's also some side plots going on, and I don't want to give anything else away, so I won't say anything else. It's, like I said, it's slow. It's not a lot of action till the end. I didn't mind that. I actually found myself really enjoying this, slow winding through these people's lives. I compared it to Selena, to the beginning of The Shining. If you've read The Shining, the beginning of that, it's very much just let's follow this family's lives unfold. It's like if you took that section of it and just expanded it to most of the book. except I think it's done a little bit better than it is in The Shining. I love Stephen King, but that was not the most outstanding part.
Is this a horror book?
Um,
or is it like thriller? It's like creepy, right?
It's creepy. That's all I want to get into with it right now.
Okay, and you gave it...
I gave it, that was 4.75 stars, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, and then we get into, I hate this.
The next book I read was The Gunslinger by Stephen King. I am trying to do a read-along of the Dark Tower series with Selena, as she may have mentioned begrudgingly.
But I hate it,
so. She hates it so much. And she hated this one the most so far. I mean, she's only read 2, but really.
Oh, yeah, oh god, I thought we were talking about book 2, and I was like,
No, she's hated this. So it's the first book in my favorite series, so this is going well. It's not the best out of the series. I will give you that. It is the worst book in the series.
It's the worst book ever written.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I don't think it's bad, I just don't think it's great. It's mostly getting you set up with, like, this quest, like, getting you, you're getting some of the background as to why this guy's on this quest.
Yep.
You get, and that's
Barely.
basically what you get there.
You get the background that he is on a quest, and that is it.
You get a little bit into what it is. Look, but it's a setup book. The good news is, even if it's not great, it's just over 200 pages. It's very short. You can get through it in a day if you're brave. And
if you can handle it, like if you don't die of boredom, like I did.
Yeah, I mean, most of it is admittedly the main character walking through the desert and contemplating his past. It gets a little bit more speedy at the end, but not by much.
It's a mess.
But anyways, I'm enjoying it because this is my first reread of The Gunslinger since I finished the series in its entirety. So I think it's really cool knowing what I know about the series. I think it's gonna be really cool going through this reread, having all the information.
Even though you liked it, though, it was still 3 stars.
It was 3 stars because, like I said, it wasn't his best. It's not the best in the series. All right, the next one I read was a gift from Selena. It's called Wolf Song by T.J. Klune. So the premise here is that there's this kind of like average teen who's discounted for most of his life because people refer to him as like slow, which, you know, is a loaded term. But his father is left and he doesn't feel like he's going to really amount to anything. And then a family moves in next door. And as you might be able to gather from the title of the book, it is revealed very shortly that they are a family of werewolves. So it's about really how these bonds form. Like, there is a romance in the book, but the romance, I wouldn't even say is the, like, main part of it. Like, it's definitely featured, but it's so much about, like, developing, like, literally found family vibes with this pack of wolves. And I thought the relationships were really well explored. And the writing was very fresh, you know, it was written in a way that I haven't really seen before, all while saying pretty lyrical. And it was a beautiful read. It's the first in a series, and I'm excited to read the sequel because I just recently got my hands on that.
But you did have some qualms with it, which it's a little bit, we'll just put it like this. It's the main romance is like a Renesmee Jacob.
Yeah, I mean,
type thing. It's better than that.
It's different.
It's not as cringy and, like, just straight up, like, what were you on when you were writing this, Stephanie Meyer? But it does have that sort of age gap thing, right?
Yeah, it does. And that part, it's iffy. I think I've decided in reading all the way through it that it was handled okay. I think there's one thing that could have been done differently to make me feel entirely comfortable with it, but...
And some people won't care. Like, I'm just not, like, right now, Romancelandia, like, some people will not care. Like, they will be fine with the execution of this. It was just for you that you didn't love it, and some people will care. So if you don't like age gap at all, like, don't read the book. But you don't need to be worried about any, like, straight up, like, inappropriate relationship going on when one of them's really young, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you gave it a little bit of a lower rating because of your preference of how it was handled, right?
Yeah, it would have probably been a 5-star if it weren't for all of that. So I gave it 4.25.
Fair. Okay, now we're into the March part of your wrap-up.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
All 3 of your books.
So the first one was Underland by Robert McFarlane. This one's a nonfiction, which is focused on like exploring different types of underground areas. It ranges from like mines and underground research labs to like the Paris catacombs. So it's all really different settings underground, but he ties it together with like this like almost mysticism. Like it's not like he's saying like, oh, these are ruled by gods or whatever, but he's saying like there is a similar feeling of awe when you get to go somewhere underground. So it's about like philosophy and religions as well as the science of all of it. And it's an insight into worlds that most people don't know about.
Or ever get to see.
Or ever get to see, yeah. So I found it very interesting, and I enjoyed the reading. But what I admired the most about this is that the author was doing hands-on research. Like, he was going into the catacombs. He was going into really deep mines. He was risking his entire life doing this. I mean, there were moments where he could have died. Like, that is commitment.
Did he do anything illegal?
Yes. That is commitment to the art form. Yes, he definitely did. He went into some, I mean, the catacombs thing was illegal, first of all.
Really?
Oh,
I guess they are. Yeah, you're not. I've read Cassidy Blake, and they allow her to go in there. So
okay, yeah, you can go in with a tour guide, but also he went into all these like abandoned like construction sites. Like he was not following.
That's not really.
He was not following the law. The advice of most reasonable people, the intentions of our Lord God or Jesus. And anyways, he was tempting fate. So anyways, I gave it 4 stars because yeah.
The next one is another Stephen King because Mason literally he read 4 Stephen King in 2 months.
Stephen King's my favorite author.
You read 3 Stephen King in these 2 months. You read Gunslinger, you read this one, and you read Dreamcatcher. And then the next month, you read 2.
Cool, thanks for sharing. Anyway,
that's disgusting.
Stephen King's my favorite author. Why do you think? Okay, anyway. I read Zooma by
Stephen King.
Yeah. So the premise of this is that there's a guy who gets into a terrible accident. And he loses one of his arms. And from there, his life was kind of spiraling because of all the pain he's in and all the regret he has. He gets a divorce from his wife, so he's in a bad space. So
Classic mess for Stephen King adults.
Yeah. Anyway, one of his doctors suggests that he go and live in Florida in a place called zooma in order to recover for a little bit. But when he gets there, he finds out that this place has some secrets. And some maybe magical properties, and he himself is bestowed with a gift involving painting, which helps to unravel some of these mysteries. So it's just like the progression of finding out what happened in the past on this island and what's happening now.
So I will give it to you. This premise does sound interesting, more interesting than most Stephen King books to me. I still don't know if I'd read it, but because you have some criticisms, but get into that.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a great book, but it was a little hard to follow at times because it felt like it was jumping, making jumps that we should have been able to fill in the blanks with, but I don't think we were giving enough information. Now, that could have been, I was reading the book really fast, so it's possible that was on me and I missed some information, but I think that there was some maybe tiny plot holes that weren't paved over.
You also you read remember you're the guy who read Warbreaker in a day, so come on, and you can read a book fast and get everything out of it. Anyways,
it was fast paced and it was an interesting idea, so I liked that part of it. Execution tiny bit flawed, so I gave it 3.5 stars.
Okay, and then your final book, we end this off with another V.C. Andrews book, right?
This one is If There Be Thorns, which is the 3rd book in the Flowers in the Attic series. I can't really give you a description because it's building up the last 2 books. It's less crazy than book 2. I will say that. It's out of the 4 books I've read in the series, it's my least favorite. But it's still enjoyable. But it's mostly there to, for me, its main purpose is to introduce some characters that are coming along in the next book. So I gave it 3 stars.
Okay, so that was what Mason read in February and March, what he's been reading when he's been away from me, and when he was here, we didn't have the energy to film wrap-ups, or I didn't. So, welcome him back to the channel, and we will be doing much more regular wrap-ups with you, right?
I sure hope
We're
so.
about to film your April wrap-up.
That's a thumbnail.
That's a thumbnail. Anyways, yeah, let's go do that because I've been filming for hours and I'm ready to stop.
Oh, good thing April only has 12 books.
Anyways, bye!
Bye!